Welcome to the Safe Par Golf Podcast, where two average golfers talk about golf and things. I'm your host, Derek.
I'm your host, Dominic.
We are currently on episode 89. We have a special guest today. We have Jayme with CMD Golf Co. They create boutique golf items such as putters, hand ground irons, ball markers, and divot tools. If you don't follow them on Instagram, make sure to hit that follow button. The Instagram handle is at
CMD Golf Co.
Jayme, thanks so much for taking the time and joining us on the podcast.
Thank you, fellas.
Absolutely. I was just happy I didn't butcher it. I was close.
You said boutique really weird.
I did kind of say it a little weird. I was kind of trying to keep it off the website of what you had. I thought I did okay, but
it was great.
I was really worried because I keep wanting to say a CMG Golf Co.
Oh, sure.
But it's CMD. I don't know why CMG just kind of rolls off my tongue a little easier, but
yeah. So speaking of that, when did you start CMD Golf Co?
I started the actual business in 2018. I was just doing some general machining back then. And then I got into the golf side of the business in 2019.
Okay. And then, so where did you come up with the logo and like, what is the backstory on that?
So the backstory for the Ghost started in 2019. So originally when I started the company then, I quickly learned that it was very difficult to gain any major traction, in the golf industry. It wasn't as simple as making a product that you thought was really nice and then they would just, sell out instantly. But around Halloween, I wanted to do another ball marker drop, and I happened to come up with that Ghost design, and it was the first piece that I actually had some traction with. And I had a lot of guys that said it looked really, really cool. And, I thought back then that I needed a logo change, and I saw the potential with it and what it could be, and, how versatile of a logo it could be. And I'm very thankful that I made the change. The original logo was a micrometer with an MD in it, so it kind of symbolized CMD. It made a lot of sense, but a lot of people didn't understand what the logo was. Sure. And with any brand, you want to have a logo that's easily identifiable and something that's catchy. And I really think the Ghost logo has done that, and it's served its purpose for me.
So I'm big on like names per se. Does he have a name? Because I came up with the name. If he doesn't have a name, I have a name.
Originally, when I created him, I nicknamed him Happy, just because he's got a big smile.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's better than Fred.
But I really don't utilize the name very much, because I figured with every single new design, it was going to require a new name, and I just didn't want to fall down that rabbit hole.
Sure. Yeah. No, little things like that. Like I was driving to work today. I'm like, I wonder if he has a name for it. And I was like, I should write that down. And then I'm like, I'm driving. I can't. So I'm happy I at least remembered if he had a name for it.
I like that. Very well done. Yeah, I think it was a good switch too. I liked your logo originally, and that's why I kind of remember the switch. But I think the logos it makes sense. I did post a story on Instagram, and it was obviously kind of late to the party as far as getting some questions, but I did have one. Ryan from Instagram wanted to ask you when you started to make putters. So if it was before you started the business, and then how long before, you'd mentioned about getting traction, but how long before the brand started gaining traction?
The major traction really began in the pandemic. I had a decent traction before then. But a lot of the work I was doing was for other brands, creating their ball markers, not as many batches for my own brand. At the time I was working 2 full-time jobs. So I was working as a teacher full-time and then doing the business full-time. I would do it in the morning before I would go to work, and then I would do it when I got back. Really I was fine with taking on other brands' work because it was guaranteed, guaranteed work, guaranteed income, rather than taking the gamble on myself. The only regret I have would be taking the gamble on myself a little bit sooner. I think I would have gained traction a lot earlier. But I'm happy with the way things have turned out.
Did you have any experience? You just mentioned that you're a teacher. Do you have any experience with making putters or any of that kind of stuff? Did you do a lot of research on buying the equipment, or how did that kind of unfold?
So I was a manufacturing teacher. I wasn't just a general academic teacher. I went to a trade school. So from the age of 14, I've been involved in the machining industry. I'm 33 now. So do the math. I've been in the machining industry from, 14 to 33. So buying the machines, I had a good idea of what I wanted to buy. I had a good idea of what I needed. So really, getting into the putter making was an easy transition for me. As far as the machining end of it, obviously there was a big learning curve with the design and creating, shapes that were not only appealing to me, but appealing to, the masses out there. Learning how to create features on putters and machine them in a certain way to where they're not only aesthetically pleasing, but a little bit different. And so you can stand out from the crowd. But just the overall general aspect, the machining transition was very easy for me just because of my background.
Do you have like a storefront or is that maybe a goal, or is everything kind of just manufactured out of your own shop and then everything is just sold online?
Yeah, no, 100% of sales get shipped out. I've done a couple local sales of people that I know or people who have contacted me that just happen to live nearby. No, I don't have a storefront. I'm not sure if it's ever something that I am really gearing towards. I wouldn't mind having a larger shop to where I would have like a showroom per se, somewhere where if people wanted to visit the shop, I would have some things that were on display, or if somebody did happen to be in the area and they wanted to try out some putters, it'd be great to do stuff like that. But my current situation is working out of my little shop in my backyard. I don't really have the space to set up a putting green and a big display, but not only that, I mean, it's a little awkward sometimes inviting people into your home. I have 3 kids and a wife. So, there's a little bit of that comes into play. Yeah. I mean, not too much. Everybody I've met and everybody who has come here has been incredibly friendly and it's been a phenomenal experience every single time. But, it's one of those things that lingers in your head.
Right. You kind of want to separate business from home. I totally get it.
That would be so cool. I would go to Massachusetts for that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like not necessarily like being like a storefront is in like trying to be like a sports, like a Dick's Sporting Goods or anything like that major. But because I know everything sells out so quickly that it's limited, you still want to keep that same kind of style, but you can offer that where like somebody wanted to come in and try out.
Or I know we were talking about Ollie from Sync before we got on. Shout out Ollie. Haven't talked to him in a little bit, but I do love Ollie's work still. After the pod ended, he gave me like a little tour of his facility and everything. He has like putting greens and everything set up, and even that'd be cool just to have people come in, get fitted a little bit. Maybe they want a bigger stroke or like a bigger grip. Yeah, bigger stroke. I meant like the super stroke grip. The big fat ones I don't like. It'd be kind of fun. Kind of fun. Just go visit, hit some putters, and
there we go. Maybe that's some down the road.
Yeah, a larger, more professional environment would definitely be great, and it's something I'm aiming towards down the road. But at the moment, I'm very comfortable with where I'm at. Maybe a little bit too comfortable, but I'll strike when the time's right.
So yeah, let's talk about putters. So, how long does it typically take to make a custom putter from like start to finish? It's kind of a loaded question, but what are some of your favorite putters to make? And then do you guarantee like no 3 putts when somebody purchases a putter?
No, there's definitely no guarantees.
No guarantees. Okay.
No guarantees. How long does it take me? It depends on the model. It depends on how extensive the artwork and the features that the customer picks for their custom build. I typically tell people but multitasking in here, being a one person crew, you're obviously bouncing between different machines and different tasks all the time. But if I really had to, I could definitely finish a putter like from sunrise.
A little bit technical. Did you say in the beginning? Did you say it takes like 2 days? It kind of cut out a little bit on that last part.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's okay.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure I heard it right.
Yeah. 2 to 3 days is the typical build.
Okay. Yep. I know some people that when they do like design things like that, some people prefer to find like someone that is really looking for something like kind of like make some kind of work. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like it's something that it's not just like here's a design, make it happen. It's like you kind of go back and forth multiple times. Is that something that you usually will see on a custom putter where you're kind of going back and forth, brainstorming ideas multiple times?
Yeah, for sure. Yep. I mean, it ranges from customers that are overthinking it and they can't decide what they want, to, customers who will kind of give me like 2 or 3 details. Like, okay, just definitely a lot of conversations that go back and forth.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's a big part of the equation.
Are there certain materials that are easier for you to like work with as far as like the raw materials?
Steel is usually the preferred material to go with. The 303 series stainless steel cuts a little bit freer and a little bit nicer, and it is usually a little bit kinder to the tools than carbon steel. A lot of the carbon steels that you get are a little bit rougher on the tools, but both materials are relatively soft. In relative to the machining industry, there's a lot of really, really nasty materials out there that are not suited for putters, thankfully.
Are you a big brass guy? Like I love the way brass looks on putters, like the way it ages and stuff like that. I was reading somewhere that a lot of
I'll use it for inserts here and there, but you don't usually see solid brass head putters too often, or especially for the kind of things that I do. The material is just so dense; it weighs so much more than your traditional carbon steel or stainless.
Is it have you seen like as far as like pricing and all that has there been like a big price increase or price drop or availability as far as getting the materials, like the raw materials?
I've been pretty fortunate with getting raw materials. I am such a small outfit that the amount of material that I have to get in order to keep myself running isn't really that much. So I haven't been impacted by that. The only time I got impacted was getting shafts and grips, when all the supply chain issues were happening, in the pandemic and the tail end of the pandemic. That was super frustrating, and I had to kind of change gears on the fly doing that. So, that was annoying, but raw materials, no, that wasn't ever an issue.
I do want to talk like divot tools and ball markers as well.
Oh, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Since we're still talking about clubs still, I saw that you're doing a handful of iron heads.
Oh yeah, that was going to be my next.
Well, then why don't you ask it? So like the iron heads look super sweet. I love kind of super clean, super simple clubs. I know you said that they're not like for sale per se, but have you ever thought about like making them available for like the masses, like a pre-order type thing?
So I have become much better at my workload. I used to just say yes to everything in the past, and I used to have a list for the irons that I had to, the custom irons I had to do. I had a list for custom ball markers, custom divot tools for companies. A list for putters too. And when I would just stretch myself out with that much stuff in front of me, it just became incredibly stressful. And I know that, I don't want to say that like a woe is me, but I was definitely lacking in certain areas personally, but also in the work that I was putting out. I do much better work when I'm focused on more soul path. So the putters, the irons, and the ball markers, the no-brainer for me to push the irons off to the side. All the putters are my own designs. They all start from raw pieces of material, which is very easy for me to get. And same thing with the ball markers. They start from a forged blank that I have to source from a forging house, which is in Japan. And sourcing the head not only costs me more capital to invest in the beginning, but it also takes a lot longer. And I don't really like relying on other companies for the work that I'm putting out. Plus, I'm also a little bit limited in the design that goes into the heads. If I wanted to make design changes to their molds, it's a significant investment. So aiming to do. I never really even aimed to do irons ever. I just bought one batch to do for myself, and it was just out of curiosity, just to see if I could do it and see how it would go. And it was, very well received, and I had a ton of orders as soon as I made that first batch. So I have about 100 heads in the shop right now. I'm obviously not just going to let them sit there and do nothing, but I just actually wired up a dust collector a couple of days ago, and I'm planning on cranking out as many heads as I can in the upcoming months. So
Well,
they'll be coming. They'll be coming.
If you need someone to buy a 4-iron, I'm looking. So keep me in mind.
That's a very random request, just a 4-iron.
I miss my 4-iron. I bought a new set and it was 5 through gap. And I was like, I just want my 4-iron. I don't know. I'm weird. I like my 4-iron. It's my favorite club.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you prefer making? Do you prefer making like over like putter, divot tool, or a ball marker? Is there one that you have a preference?
It's always the opposite of whatever I'm working on. So if I'm working on ball markers, I miss making putters, and if I'm making putters, I miss making ball markers.
Sure. I mean, I'd imagine like with the ball markers too, it's got to be, they're a lot smaller. So I'd imagine like sometimes it gets a little bit more difficult, especially with like the paint fill and everything else. If that's what you know what I mean? It's a little bit harder.
Super satisfying to watch the paint fill though. I don't know. Do you ever get stuck on Instagram?
I did want to ask this question too. Most of your products sell out really quickly, which is obviously, a good thing for you, right? I mean, that means you're doing something really good. But I'd imagine that there's a lot of people that get upset if they miss out on something that sells out, or they didn't get a chance to buy it. I mean, how do you kind of handle that? And do you run into that quite a bit? Because I mean, pretty much everything on the website obviously is kind of limited runs because you are kind of solo. So you know what I mean?
So I've gotten a lot better at it over the years. I'll be honest with you. I have not gotten too many disappointed people in quite a long time. When I first started doing it, it was definitely a learning curve, and I had a lot of upset customers. And most of that was just due to batches being too small. And right now, I think that I've got the if I'm going to do a limited release, I have got the quantity down to a pretty good number to where I know that they're going to sell out, but I'm not going to get any of those messages from people being, pissed off that they had something in their cart and then they ended up getting sniped. Sure. Obviously that kind of stuff with e-commerce, like it's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. But with like the super limited stuff, like whenever I drop, like let's say for instance, when I do start selling the irons, right? I know that the demand is going to far exceed the supply that I'm going to have. So what I'll do is just I'll do them lottery style. So if you want it, I'll put the purchase price up there. Let's say if it's $1,000 for 4 heads. If you know you want to buy them, you can go on the website, purchase the irons for $0, and that order number gets put into a randomizer, and then whatever time frame I close it off at, I'll just pull out like 3 names and then just go in order, and if they sell, they sell.
Oh,
that's a good idea.
That's smart. Yeah,
it's try to keep it as fair as possible. It's not a perfect system. It's not a perfect world. There's not a whole lot I can do about, someone with their, number not getting picked from a randomizer.
Makes it a lot more fair though. Like you said, it gives everyone kind of that opportunity to
Yeah.
Well, and it kind of gets rid of people buying like 4 or 5 entries.
I mean, if they change their name, or if they purchase it from different addresses and different names, obviously that gets by me. But each order that I see, because I've seen that in the past where, the same person will buy multiple orders, but it's easy enough for me to see that, John Smith bought it 5 times, and it's like, okay, well, that's not how this works. And
sure.
So I'll just put his name in once.
How long does it take to make a divot tool or a ball marker? Is there one that takes a lot longer than the other? And obviously the designs are going to be different.
Yeah, it definitely depends. Like I've got a ball marker dropping tomorrow for the Open Championship, and it's got a lot of small radiuses and it's got a lot of pockets. So the cycle time is quite a bit longer than my standard Ghost. So that one it's about an hour for the first side, and then it'll be like 11 or 12 minutes for the back side of it. And then obviously, you've got the handwork that goes into it, a little bit of the buffing and then the painting. So sure. All in all, it's probably like an hour and 20 minutes or so, an hour and 15 minutes per piece.
Do you have a favorite marker from this year, or just, in general?
From this year,
I think my favorite is I like the Wasted Open one personally. I thought that one was really fun.
I really like the Rambo one. I like the design of that one a lot. The little whiskers for his beard, and then obviously the little gunshots. I don't know. That one was pretty cool. I like that one a lot.
Where do like your inspirations for the designs come from? Is it something that you just kind of like think of, or do you get people that are like, hey, this would be really cool, and you're like, oh, that might be really cool, and kind of brainstorm ideas, or how does that typically work?
I've gotten some suggestions here and there from customers who have been more than gracious with that, but
sure.
Most of the thin air. I mean, sometimes, like, let's say for instance, the one that I'm dropping tomorrow, which this podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, so it will have already come out on Wednesday, and it's for the 150th Open Championship, and it's happening in Liverpool, which is in England. Last year, the Open Championship was at St. Andrews, so I did the Scottish flag. So this year, I'm doing the UK flag, and I put a crown on top. So I'm just calling it the Royal Ghost.
Oh, that's really cool.
So sometimes I will target a tournament or target a holiday that I'm going to create a ball marker for, or a divot tool. And then I'll kind of dig a little bit deeper and look for unique things about that area, or unique things about that golf tournament, or things that are relatable for that holiday. Sure. And, obviously just try to utilize it in some kind of way with my logo and, put a creative spin on it.
You might have mentioned it, but how many are you going to be releasing tomorrow?
So because it's 151st Open, it'll be 151. And each one will be hand stamped with its production number, which is something that I usually do not do. So hopefully it's very well received, because it's one added extra step that doesn't take much longer, but it's definitely one more step that's going to take me quite a bit more time overall.
Do you see a lot of like, as far as when people buy your products, do you see it from are they all from all over the place, like all over the world, or is it mainly in the United States, or where's kind of like your main demographic?
The majority is the US for sure. I would say 90%, or maybe even a little bit higher in the US. I do quite a bit in the UK, quite a bit in Canada. Starting to do quite a bit more in Japan. So we've got a boutique that actually opened up in Japan, and they're starting to peel off 10 pieces off the top of just about every single batch that goes out right now, and I foresee that number getting bigger and bigger as time goes on.
That kind of leads me into an interesting question. I remember Mark was talking about how a lot of people will buy his stuff and then resell it, whether it's on eBay or Facebook or something like that. Have you seen that happen with your pieces at all? Whether it's like a ball marker, a tool, a putter?
I've seen quite a few pieces for sale at a significantly higher price, but it's not something that I like after a release. I don't hop on eBay to see if something's up for sale. It's I guess maybe I should pay attention to it, but also at the same time, there's not really anything I can do about it. And, once somebody owns a piece, they really can do whatever they want with it. I mean, they purchased it for the price that I think is fair for me, and what they do with it from there is up to them. I mean, obviously it would become a bigger issue if I'm selling out of things, and then, to call back on what we were talking about earlier, if customers were reaching out, like my loyal customers, if they're reaching out upset that they weren't able to get a piece, and then I see other pieces for sale on eBay, obviously that would be a major issue. But as of right now, I don't see it being an issue, thankfully. So again, if they buy it, they can do whatever they want with it.
We talked about, like, you got your shop, you kind of do everything solo for the most part, but do you do from like start to finish, do you do everything by yourself, or do you have like, does your family or do you have anyone else that kind of helps you out with doing like the Instagram stuff, or is that all you behind the scenes as well?
So everything is me except for the head covers. My wife sews and embroiders the head covers herself, but other than that, everything is 100% me.
Awesome.
Head covers are badass.
Yeah.
She does a good job.
Yeah. Very cool.
I'll relay the message.
Is there anything that I do want to talk a little bit golf, like how you got into golf, and see if you have any stories and things like that. But is there anything that we might be missing, or that you wanted to maybe mention about any of the products that you're making, or maybe something that's coming up?
I mean, we already mentioned the irons. That's coming around the corner. There's nothing I can really think of that I feel like we need to mention. Actually, you know what? I do want to plug that. Yeah. And this will be the first time I'll be publicly announcing it. So on October 16th, on October 16th, we'll be hosting our first event. So it'll be our first gathering, and it'll be at the Orchards, which is a couple towns over for me. They hosted a Women's U.S. Open in 2004. So it's a very nice golf course. It's a Donald Ross design. I'm very much looking forward to hosting our first event, and not too sure how many people we're going to bring on just yet, and I'm still working out all the details for it. Sure. But at least we have a date and a location.
Very exciting.
From personal experience, those are the two big ones to get. The date and
yes.
It's like a wedding kind of thing. As long as you get like the location and the date, then you're kind of set.
That's always the hardest part.
Yeah. Very
well,
cool.
I got to set a price soon, because we obviously got to start selling the spots so people can plan for it.
Sure. I know you said you're in the early stages, but do you plan on doing is it gonna be like a 4-person scramble, like without handicaps, or are you gonna try to handicap it? Do you have any ideas with how you want to do that?
No, I'll have everybody play their own ball.
Sure.
I'll probably have every single format under the sun go on, except for a scramble. My goal with this event is for everybody to have as good of a time as possible. So if I had to guess, it'll probably be like a best ball, and I'll only count maybe 2 scores out of the 4, and we'll do gross, net, points, all the fun games on the course.
Sure.
Obviously there'll be a putting contest, that obviously makes a lot of sense. So again, my goal will be to make it as fun as possible. There will have to be handicaps involved, obviously with gross and net. Definitely not a scramble.
Sure. Well, let us know how we can. I would certainly love to help promote and push it. And depending on, this is October 16th, I'll have to check, but it'd be fun to even go out and attend. So,
we happen to know 2 other guys in the area.
Yeah.
Or at least from Massachusetts.
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know if they're in the area.
I don't know if they're in the area, but they might certainly make their way out there for that. So yeah, like I said, let us know. Very cool. And good luck. That's very cool. So
thanks.
We've talked a lot about your product and kind of how you got into it. How did you get into the game of golf itself? When did you pick up?
So my family actually owns a course here in town. So my grandfather built the course in the early 60s. And so obviously, me being born into golf, I actually didn't start playing until I was 19. He tried getting me into it at an early age, and I just didn't take to it. I was into other things. And golf was just extremely boring to me as a kid, and I wanted nothing to do with it. Sure. But for, I happened to be around the course a little bit around the age of 19, and, I caught the bug really bad, and I've been obsessed with it ever since.
Was there like a specific shot that really got you hooked, or was there certain, can you remember what it took, or was it just?
No. So I used to skateboard a lot as a kid, and there are some parallels between skateboarding and golf. Obviously, both of them are solo endeavors, and skateboarding, you only need your skateboard and a nice piece of pavement, and you can continuously try to perfect your skill and your abilities to do that task. And golf is very similar in that sense. And I can distinctly remember around that age just going to the driving range and just, you're focused on one task and you're trying to hit this golf ball and you're trying to control it and you're trying to hit it a certain distance in a certain shape and, hit it at your target. So I think that those two things, really made me like it a lot.
I like that. Do you still play at that golf course? Is it still in the family, and do you still play it quite a bit, or?
Yep. Yeah. I still play there on Fridays, nine holes in the league. I go out with my son from time to time, so I probably get a round or a round and a half in total every single week. It's still in the family, and very thankful for that.
Yeah, that's very cool.
That'd be so cool.
That would be. It's funny though that you say that, because I kind of was. I mean, we mentioned it several times, but that's one thing that I wish I would have got into when I was younger too. But I had that same. I played, all pretty much every other sport you can name, but just it was kind of expensive, and it's time consuming, and it was just one of those. It was a slow moving thing, and it just didn't really catch my eye in the beginning. And then same thing, like I was about 18 years old and just got obsessed with it. But do you have like any crazy golf stories that you can share with us at all? Whether it's like something you've seen on the course or like something like a crazy hole-in-one story or anything like that, Eagle?
I can tell you my crazy hole-in-one story, I suppose. It happened somewhat recently, so a lot of the people who are going to be aware of it. But so I just took a trip to Scotland. I got back a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago now. So we'll start it the day prior to getting there, right? So it was a very busy week. I had a ton of work that I had to crank out. I knew I was going to be gone for about a week going to Scotland. And, obviously I felt compelled to obviously get as much work as I could out the door. I had a batch of, I think it was divot tools or ball markers. I can't recall at the time, but I knew I had something I had to get out the door. Something customers pre-ordered and were waiting for them to ship.
Sure.
I ended up working until midnight on Thursday to get the work out. I was up crazy early in the morning, so obviously that was a very long day. But the next day I was leaving for Scotland, but also I had to get my passport the same day.
Oh wow!
So I had to get up somewhere around 5 o'clock in the morning, right? So not a ton of sleep. I had to drive 2.5 hours to the lower part of Connecticut, go wait in line, go through the grueling process of getting my passport. I ended up getting it, getting back home. So it was about 9 hours in total from the time I got up to getting back home. I had 2 hours to pack because it was such a busy week, with the business. I didn't have time to pack. So so I got back home, packed up, started driving down to the airport, and I was doing good. I was going to arrive to the airport 2 hours ahead of time, like you're supposed to, yada yada. Well, as I'm about to turn off the highway to get go off the proper exit to go to the airport, it was blocked by 4 cruisers, and I also happened to notice the other side of the highway. There was no vehicles coming, and this is a very, very busy highway. So obviously I was like, okay, well, something weird is going on.
Yeah.
Get off the next exit, which everybody else going to that airport was getting off this exit, which then turned into a single lane road, which naturally now is extremely backed up. So now, instead of being 2 hours early, I was, a half an hour behind schedule. Get to the airport, come to find out, good old Uncle Joe was giving a speech, in the city next door, and he was going to that airport to fly out Air Force One. So, makes sense why the highway was blocked. Anyways, so get on my crap. No, well, hold on, we're not there yet. I get up to the front desk. Now I had booked these flights 3 or 4 months ago. Get up to the desk, and they tell me that the plane is leaving an hour and a half late, which I only had an hour layover, so that already effed that up. And then they tell me that I don't have a seat on the plane. They overbooked the flight by 12 people, and I was the 8th person in line. So I stood there. I stood there at the counter for 20 or 30 minutes while they, looked around at JFK. They looked to Boston. They tried looking at all the different airports and see when as soon as I could get out. And then they told me my best option was to come back the next day at the same time, and they would guarantee me a seat on there. But I was already at the airport, and I didn't have anything planned for the rest of the day except for getting on the flight. So I asked if it was okay for me to go through security, go have dinner, and just hang around the gate to see if, I could potentially get on the plane if enough people don't show up. Obviously, it was a long shot, but I did it anyways. And I hung around the gate, and as people are starting to board, they called my name and they called a couple other people's names. The whole family didn't show up, and I was able to hop on the flight. Now, I knew I was going to miss my connecting flight, but at least this was getting me over to Dublin, which, I had an hour. I was supposed to have an hour layover in Dublin and then go over into Edinburgh. But anyways, I get to Dublin, and I have to go through customs, go back down to the counter and figure out a new flight. I go down there, and there's a few other golfers hanging around. So I kind of congregated with those guys, even though I didn't know them, but at least I felt like, we were more powerful in a little pack of numbers. And they unfortunately, they told us that there are no other flights going from Dublin to Edinburgh the rest of the day. And at the time, so I left at a late flight. It was a red eye overnight. Got there at like 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around there. And they told us that there's no flights the rest of the day, which they said is really rare because there's a ton of flights always going from Dublin or Edinburgh. It's a common connecting flight. So obviously we're all frustrated and up in arms and like we didn't know what to do. And, we're just waiting in line forever because, there was a ton of flights that were delayed that day. So everybody else was in the same boat as us. Anyways, this woman ends up coming over and telling us that our best option and the best thing for us is they're going to put us on a bus and we're going to go from Dublin to Belfast, which was like a 2-hour bus ride. And we're going to get a flight later on that afternoon from Belfast over to Edinburgh. So it's like, okay, great. What, like at that point, it's just like, whatever. I don't care how we get there. If we got to take a boat, like whatever it is, let's just get it. Let's just get it done.
Yep.
And I was I couldn't sleep on the flight over. It was just, I was tired and frustrated. So anyways, we hop on the bus and we're waiting on the bus for, an extended period of time, just making sure that there's nobody else that needed to hop on the bus with us to catch a flight. And while we're on the bus, there was a taxi, a couple cars behind us that burst into flames.
Oh my gosh.
So anyways, the bus driver
broke down.
Yes.
No, oh my God, that would have been even worse. Anyways, the bus driver hops on.
How long is the flight from where you're taking the bus to Dublin? How long, or not Dublin, to Edinburgh?
It would only be it's like an hour and change. It's nothing.
Oh, okay. So not bad.
Yeah. No, it's nothing. So anyways, we take the bus ride up there. I fly over, no problem. I catch an Uber. I was supposed to have a tee time at 3:56. I was meeting my friend there. And the Uber said 4:15. I sent him a text. He changed the tee time to 4:40. Get over there. I was able to sleep on the bus. So up to this point, I don't know how many hours I'm into this trip, but I had like 3 hours of sleep in total. Get there, go straight to the men's locker room, get changed, go to the first tee, go play, get my first hole-in-one on the 16th hole at Dunbar Golf Club.
That is so cool.
What was the distance?
130 yards pitching wedge.
Nice.
Very cool. Yep. So did you get to see it though? Because I know sometimes there's something like a block par 3. Didn't get to see it?
No. So it's actually a very flat hole. But there happens to be this little tiny knoll. It's actually there's a bunker, so a pot bunker with a knoll right after it, and the flag happened to be behind the knoll. I could see the flag, but I couldn't see the hole. It landed like right on top of the knoll. Saw a little, puff of dirt pop up with the dry turf over there, and we get up to the green, and my ball was nowhere to be found, and thankfully it was in the cup.
That is awesome. So was it an expensive trip afterwards?
Yeah. So
say to the 19th hole.
Well, so I feel terrible. We ended up leaving right away. It was not my choice.
I would have done the same thing.
I'd hit it and go to bed.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. So that's your first hole in one then?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your overall thoughts of Scotland in general? And I mean, it is the home of golf. I definitely want to. It's a bucket list trip of mine for sure. But did you play? How many rounds of golf did you end up playing out there? And what were your overall thoughts?
Did you travel with your clubs at all? Oh God, that would have been stressful.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit stressful. I put one of those little air tags in my bag. Not that that's going to save my bag from anything, but at least I would have an idea where it was. Sure. Yeah, my putter has a lot of sentimental value to me. The rest of the clubs I don't really care about, but the putter I care a lot for.
Wedge.
And now you're pitching wedge. Right?
Yeah. Now the pitching wedge. Yeah, now the pitching wedge has some sentimental value to it. We played a lot. We played 36 holes a day. Geez, I'm losing track of time now. 3 days in a row, and then we played 18 on the final day. So I got quite a few rounds in. I mean, listen, there's nothing I can say that's going to be, nothing I say is going to open anybody's eyes up to how awesome Scotland is. Everybody under the sun has given their opinion about what it's like to play in Scotland, and I think the overall consensus is just it's amazing, and it should be on every golfer's bucket list. If you get the opportunity to jump on it, do it. If you don't have the opportunity, find a way to make it an opportunity. You play golf a little bit differently over there. I mean, you still obviously have to, command control of your ball, but it's just the questions that are asked of you on the golf course are a little bit different than what we're typically used to here in the US. The turf is significantly different. And a lot of the courses that you're going to play are going to be on the coast. So naturally, there's going to be a ton of wind that comes into play. So, again, you need to learn how to hit different shots. It was a lot of fun. There's not much more than I can say than it was amazing. I mean, it really was. I can't wait to go back again.
Did you get to play St. Andrews old course or new course or?
So my friend that I met there, he was on a much longer trip than me. I was just invited for a smaller portion of the trip. He played the old course, the new course, and all the courses in St. Andrews. At the tail end of our trip, the last Airbnb that we stayed in was actually in St. Andrews. So I was fortunate enough to at least see the golf course and walk on it. But
that'd be cool.
Excuse me, I did not play the old course.
Okay. I do have one last question, then we'll do some rapid fire questions and we'll wrap it up. But just as like a business owner, do you have any like suggestions or recommendations for someone looking to start a company? Not necessarily like a putter company, but just starting as an entrepreneur, trying to start something.
I mean, the biggest thing is to at least come up with some kind of plan. And you don't need to think the plan from beginning to end and figure out, what is your end goal with the business, but you need to figure out your starting point. And then when you figure out that starting point, you create a path to how you're going to get there, and, try to break it down into bullet points if you can, just simplify it as much as possible. For me, starting my own business was a big task for me. I'm not a very confident individual. So, I didn't go into starting the business thinking that I was going to be successful. I didn't go into it thinking I was going to be where I'm at today. I was very negative about myself. And, the only way I got to where I'm at is obviously a lot of support from my wife and, my friends and family around me, but also, the small little tasks that I would set myself, like, okay, let's start with this. We'll see how that goes. And, if that goes well, then we'll move on to this. But if you're starting any kind of business, you need to come up with a plan, how you're going to get there, and then what you're going to do after you start it. And, obviously create bigger plans as the business grows. And yeah, I mean, that's not a great way to end it, but just have a good
It makes
plan.
sense. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's
You gotta have a starting point, and then I mean, I think you gotta bet on yourself, right? Like you said earlier, the big regret you have is not gambling on yourself sooner. I think you gotta want to take that leap.
Yep. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, normally when you see somebody say, got to start a business, you have to have a business plan, kind of like what you just, made point to. But same thing, it's taking that initial step. Cause I feel like so many people are, could lack that confidence, like you said.
Well, I feel like there's so many great ideas out there, but people don't want to take the shot,
Yeah. And fail. I think failing is a good thing.
I mean, even to this day, I've never written a formal business plan. I know a lot of people have said you got to write a business plan. It's like, my plan is in my head. I mean, I know what I want to do and where I want to go. But sometimes writing it out will just it'll keep you a little bit more, make you want to do that.
Yeah.
Just writing it out will make it seem much more simple. Sure. But yeah, agreed. There's so many great ideas out there, and I'm sure there's some extremely talented individuals out there that haven't tapped into that talent yet, and they really just need to get the motivation to do it. I mean, starting a business takes a shit ton of work. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. You have to be able to pour your heart and soul into it and get nothing out of it for a long time. If you're not willing to accept that, then it's probably not for you.
Sure. No, I love that. Well said. Dom, I'm gonna let you ask the rapid fire questions unless you have another question you want to ask.
No, I just have a comment. That's kind of like what a lot of people assume we make money on the podcast, or we get all sorts of free stuff, and it's like, no, we do it because we just like to do it.
Yeah, that's one of the main reason we do the podcast.
We pour all this time and effort and all the energy, and just because we love to do it. I think that has a lot to do with kind of the business side of things, but I enjoy hearing business.
I would definitely recommend to anybody, if you're starting a business, try to find something that you love to do. If I wasn't getting paid to do making putters and ball markers and such, I would still I would obviously have a full-time job doing whatever or be machining other things for other companies, but I would still be making putters and be making other random knickknacks for golf for myself. And it's purely because I love making this kind of stuff. It's what I really enjoy doing. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's a dream come true that I get paid to do this. But purely, I absolutely love it.
I love the term knickknack.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start calling myself knickknacks. I love that. No, we're very happy that you can do this full time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
good quality work.
Yeah.
Keep it up. We can love to help you out any way we can.
I love this stuff, dude.
Thank you.
I'm gonna start calling everything knickknacks. I love it.
Fire away. We got some rapid fire questions. I think you've already answered a couple, but we're gonna ask them anyway.
So obviously we know you play a lot of golf a week, or maybe what's your favorite snack?
So favorite drink and favorite snack would be an orange Gatorade and Fig Newtons.
Ooh, I haven't had a Fig Newton and who knows how long.
Yeah, those are good though. Those are good.
Are they filled with
solid
figs?
It's I mean, I don't know which one you go with, but I go with the
I had the strawberry.
Yeah, the strawberry Fig Newton is typically what I go with. There's grape. There's a couple different flavors, I think, but I think strawberry.
I don't know. I grab Fig Newtons. I think they're just regular Fig Newtons.
I've had Fig. Oh. So what's the favorite course you've played? And let's exclude the one you got the hole in one
on. Probably Riviera.
Ooh, be a good one.
Yeah.
It's a loaded question. Yeah, there's 3 in here, but
yeah, I didn't pre-read these. He does these while I'm eating dinner. Your favorite putter, divot tool, and ball marker.
The favorite putter would probably be the Damascus Cam Muscleback that I made a few months back. I ended up selling that to the owner of the boutique in Japan, and I only sold it to him because I really like him. He's a very nice guy, but otherwise, I really wanted to keep that one for myself selfishly. But favorite ball marker, probably the original Ghost. That one, even though I've seen a million of them at this point, and I've seen the logo a gajillion times, I'm very thankful for what that thing is and what it's, enabled me to do with my life. And favorite divot tool would be the three nut single prong divot tool. That one's that's what I personally use. Obviously I'm extremely biased, but I think it's the best divot tool that you can use. I much prefer a single prong over a double prong tool. And that three nut tool it checks all the boxes for me. I really like it.
That one's so cool. A friend of mine welds, and I was like, "How hard is that?" And she's like, "You don't want to know." I was like, "Sounds good." Just from like a curiosity standpoint, I was like, "I'm curious."
Honestly, that tool is very easy to weld.
Well, I can't weld, so we're gonna leave it at that. I shouldn't say that. I've never
for the professional.
I've never attempted. I'll burn something down. So you're packing for a golf trip. Where you're going, and let's exclude Scotland because we already know Scotland's kind of a mess for you. Well, a good mess.
Yeah, good mess.
Happy mess.
Good story.
Is that what Bob Ross said?
I don't know.
Happy tree.
Oh man, where? That's a great question.
So while you think about it, I'm gonna go to Germany. I'm gonna visit Jordan.
You're gonna visit Jordan?
I'm gonna visit Jordan.
Yeah, I think my next destination is going to be Japan.
Ooh,
I'd love to go to Japan.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, obviously,
I'd have to go.
I have to visit my boutique. I haven't been there yet, so that would be a huge perk for me. But I love the culture. I love all things anime. I grew up on that as a kid. So I love the architecture over there. I don't know. I'm very much enamored with the country. I like it a lot, and I would love to play golf over there.
My dream is to go with when the cherry blossoms are in bloom. I know that is probably like the most touristy time, but like the photographer in me just like, if I'm gonna go, I'm doing it then. That'd be so cool. So what's worse? Are you gonna shank a drive at the first tee, blading your second shot after hitting a pure drive, or are you gonna three putt after you did everything really well?
Well, let me ask you guys, have either one of you ever had a case of the shanks?
My entire golf game is the shanks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. No, I got to say the three putt. I would probably be more pissed off about the three putt than the other two. I mean, you're going to catch one off the hosel every now and then. And then obviously fatten one. Everybody's been there, but there's nothing worse than puring two shots and three putting. I mean, for a good player, there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than hitting two good shots and three putting. Nothing worse.
I think that's what I said last week.
Yeah, there's kind of a new question that we brought up last week, and I think we said the same thing. We might have said blade. I know we said obviously shanking a drive off the first tee is bad because you got people that are watching and all that, but most people take a breakfast ball. It depends on the setting and where you're playing and what you're doing.
I took it as the very first hole of the day, so I'm like, I'm not expecting much out of it yet.
Low expectations off the first tee.
Give me a couple.
So that's pretty much what we have for rapid fire questions. We do always typically end our podcast with some sort of food related question. If we come visit you, where are we going to go? And then the last question would be, if it was your last meal, what would you want to eat? And it could be you can start from breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or you could just do whatever your favorite meal would be.
I mean, Western Massachusetts isn't particularly known for any types of food, but I personally believe New England has the best pizza in the world. So
interesting.
You can get some phenomenal pizza around here.
Is there one that pops out?
Is it the water? Does the water make the pizza?
I don't know. There's a lot of Italian immigrants around here.
Sure.
So there's a lot of really good Italian restaurants around here. I really like Pasquale's here in town. I think that they make the best pizza in town. But again, that's my personal preference.
Sure.
And then what was the last question? Last meal?
Basically your last meal. Yeah. Some people like to go all the way from starting from breakfast, lunch, and dinner to dessert to just keeping it, easy and simple and just choosing one meal. It's up to you.
I mean, I could take you through the whole day. Sure. No problem.
Let's do it.
I would probably start the day off with my wife's homemade cinnamon buns. She makes them from scratch, and they are phenomenal. I would follow that up with a bacon, egg, and cheese on a plain bagel from Tampa Bagel. I would have numerous iced coffees. I'd probably grab one from every one of the coffee shops. Again, I know that this is my last day, so we're just gonna go for it. Around lunchtime, we're gonna get a burrito from Two Rivers Burrito here in town. And then for dinner, we are going to grill our own ribeye steak, and we're gonna have scalloped potatoes, corn on the cob, and French bread.
Are you having dessert after all that?
Yeah, we'll have a banana split. Why not?
Banana split. All right.
Yeah, you might as well go all in, right?
That was a good list.
It's like you've thought of it before.
That was impressive.
I told you I listened to the last couple of podcasts, so I put some thought into it.
That's true. That's true.
We appreciate you listening and tuning in and coming a little prepared. So, Jayme, man, it's been a pleasure. We really appreciate your time. And we'd love to have you back on down the road and keep up all the great work. And again, we'll help you out with posting the upcoming event here in October for you as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate you inviting me on. I'd be happy to come on anytime you want.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thanks again. Fun. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.